So, you want to learn to speak English fluently, right? Think of English like a skill, just like learning to ride a bike or cook a delicious meal. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going, step by step. Start with this. Every single day, take a few minutes to talk to yourself in English. I know it sounds strange, but stay with me. Picture this. You're brushing your teeth in the morning, and you can think of simple things like, okay, after this, I'll make breakfast. I think I'll make eggs today. Then I'll wear my favorite blue shirt and get ready for work. That's it. Just talk to yourself about your day in simple English. You're training your brain to think in English. Now, let's make it a little more fun. Imagine you're a movie star in your own life, and you're narrating everything. You walk into the kitchen, open the fridge, and think, what's for breakfast today? I see the milk is almost finished. Better make a grocery list. Just like that, you've started using English naturally without even thinking too much about it. And speaking of breakfast, let's talk about conversations. You know how sometimes, when you're in a cafe or restaurant, you hear people around you talking, instead of just sitting there. I want you to imagine you're part of that conversation in English. You don't even have to say anything out loud, just in your head. Pretend someone's asked you, "How are you today?" And you respond with, "I'm doing great, just enjoying my coffee." It's about using your imagination to put yourself in English-speaking situations. Here's another trick. When you watch your favorite shows or movies in English, pause after a sentence and repeat it. You might be watching a show where someone says, "Hey, what's going on?" Pause the show and then say it out loud. "Hey, what's going on?" Do it until it feels natural. This way, you're not just learning words. You're learning the rhythm of how native speakers talk. Let me tell you a secret about listening practice. When people say they want to get better at listening, they often think they need to understand everything from the start. But no, you don't. Just focus on understanding the main idea first. Picture this. You're listening to a podcast, and they're talking about their weekend. Even if you don't catch every word, you might hear something like, "Saturday beach really fun." Boom! You've got the main idea. They went to the beach on Saturday and had fun. The more you listen, the more words will start to make sense. I'll give you an example from my own experience. When I started watching movies in English, I couldn't understand half of what they were saying. But I kept watching over and over, and I picked up phrases like, "What's up?" and "No way," without even realizing it. That's the key. Don't stress about understanding every word. Just enjoy the process. And speaking of words, let's talk about remembering them. You know that feeling when you learn a new word, but then, a week later, you've completely forgotten it? Here's how to fix that. When you learn a new word, use it in 3 sentences right away. If you learn the word amazing, don't just stop there. Say, "The weather is amazing today." "That movie was amazing." "I feel amazing after that workout." You're not just memorizing. You're actually putting the word to work. Let's add a little more to that. Whenever you come across a new word, write it down, but don't just write the word. Write it in a full sentence. That way, you will remember how it fits into a conversation. For example, instead of just writing excited, write, I'm excited to learn English today. This is a small trick, but it works wonders for your memory. And hey, if you're someone who likes a challenge, here's something fun you can do. Set a timer for 5 minutes and try to come up with as many sentences as you can using the new word you've learned. It's like a game. Maybe the word is delicious. You could say, "This pizza is delicious. I had a delicious breakfast. That dessert looks delicious." The goal is to push your brain to work with a new word right away. Now, let's shift gears and talk about reading. You don't need to start with thick novels. Just grab something short and interesting, a blog post, an article, or even a children's book. I know it sounds simple, but children's books are written in a way that's easy to understand and full of everyday vocabulary. Plus, the stories are fun. You're not trying to be an academic. You're learning English to use it in real life. Here's a cool example. Imagine you're reading an article about travel. You come across the word adventure. Now, don't just read and move on. Pause and think, how can I use this word? Maybe you'll say, my trip to the mountains was an adventure, or learning English is an adventure. The more you engage with what you're reading, the more those words stick with you. Now let's tackle fluency. Fluency isn't about speaking fast. It's about speaking comfortably. I remember when I first started speaking English, I used to hesitate a lot. I'd stop mid-sentence, trying to find the right word. But then I realized mistakes are part of the process. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. It's like riding a bike. At first you wobble, but the more you ride, the smoother it gets. So here's a little exercise. Find a short, simple sentence and say it 10 times. Let's use, I love learning English. Say it out loud. I love learning English. Again, I love learning English. Do it until the words just flow out without hesitation. You're training your brain to be more fluent one step at a time. Imagine you're in a foreign country where no one speaks your native language. What would you do? You'd adapt. You'd have to use whatever English you know to get by, whether it's ordering food, asking for directions, or just having simple conversations with people around you. So, even though you might not be in an English-speaking country, you can create that environment for yourself. Let's start with something simple. Every time you pick up your phone to send a text or check social media, try to do it in English. This could be as easy as changing your phone's language settings to English. At first, it might seem strange, but think about how much time we spend on our phones each day. If your phone is set to English, that's hours of passive learning. You're forcing yourself to read, process, and understand English just by doing everyday things like checking your messages or browsing Instagram. Now, I want you to imagine something fun. You've just met someone new and they only speak English. You want to tell them about yourself, your day, your plans. Go ahead, try it right now. Hi, my name is your name. And today I'm feeling really excited because, and keep going, you don't need to have someone in front of you. Just imagine you're introducing yourself to someone. It's all about getting comfortable with talking, even when no one's around to hear you. Let's make this even more interesting. Have you ever noticed that when you listen to native speakers, they don't always follow the rules we learn in school? Sometimes They use slang, short forms, or they even skip words altogether. For example, instead of saying, I am going to the store, they might say, I'm going to go to the store. Or instead of I don't know, they say, dunno. These are the little things that make English sound more natural. So, how do you start speaking like that? First, it's important to understand that natural English isn't about using big, complicated words. It's about flow. It's about the rhythm of the language. For example, when you say, "What's up?" It sounds casual, right? Now, try saying, "What are you doing today?" It sounds a bit more formal, but if you want to sound more relaxed and natural, you could say, "What are you up to?" Or even, "What you up to?" You see, it's not just about vocabulary. It's about how you use that vocabulary in everyday conversations. Speaking of everyday conversations, let's practice with some real-life examples. Let's say you're meeting a friend for coffee. You could say something like, "Hey, want to grab a coffee?" That's casual, right? But now, let's expand it. Imagine your friend asks, "What have you been up to lately?" You could reply with something like, "Oh, you know, just the usual. Work's been busy, but I've been trying to relax when I can." Notice how natural that sounds. You're not trying to be fancy. You're just being real. The key to fluency is getting comfortable with this natural flow of conversation. Let's try another example. Imagine you're at a party and someone says, "Hey, I don't think we've met before. What do you do?" You could reply with, "Oh, hey, I'm your name. I'm at your job. I love what I do, but it keeps me super busy." See how simple that is. You're not stressing about perfect grammar. You're just communicating. Let's talk a bit about confidence now. One of the biggest things that hold people back from speaking English fluently is the fear of making mistakes. Let me ask you this. What's the worst thing that could happen if you make a mistake while speaking English? Someone might correct you. That's it. No one's going to laugh at you or judge you. Everyone knows how tough it can be to learn a new language. In fact, most people will respect you more for trying. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you speak English, expect to make mistakes. Yep, you heard me right. Expect to make mistakes and be okay with it. It's part of the process. In fact, the more mistakes you make, the faster you'll learn. Picture this. You're talking to someone and you accidentally mix up a word or two. Instead of feeling embarrassed, just laugh it off and say, "Oops, I meant to say," that's it. You're human, and humans make mistakes. It's all part of the journey. Now, let's focus on listening. Have you ever tried shadowing? It's a really cool technique where you listen to a sentence and then immediately repeat it out loud. You can do this with movies, podcasts, or even YouTube videos. Let's say you're watching an interview and the speaker says, "I love traveling because it opens my mind to new cultures." Pause the video and then repeat it out loud. "I love traveling because it opens my mind to new cultures." Do this with short sentences at first, and then gradually work your way up to longer ones. It's like playing a game. The goal is to match the speaker's speed and tone as closely as possible. At first, it might feel like you're just mimicking, but over time, this will train your brain to think in English faster. And the cool part is, you'll start picking up on things like intonation and rhythm without even realizing it. Now, let's talk about reading. If you're someone who loves stories, here's a little hack for you. When you read in English, don't just read to understand. Read out loud to practice speaking. Let's say you're reading a story about a character who travels to Paris. Instead of reading silently, read the story out loud and imagine you're telling the story to a friend. For example, Sarah arrived in Paris and was amazed by the beauty of the Eiffel Tower. Now, close the book and say it again in your own words. When Sarah got to Paris, she couldn't believe how beautiful the Eiffel Tower was. You see what we're doing here? You're not just reading. You're retelling the story in your own way. This helps with fluency because you're practicing how to express ideas naturally. And let's not forget about writing. Writing is a powerful tool to improve your English. Here's a simple exercise you can do. Every night before bed, write down 3 things that happened during your day. It could be as simple as, I had a great lunch today, or I learned a new English word today. The point is, you're practicing how to think in English. Let's make it even more interesting. Choose a topic you love. Maybe it's food, travel, or even movies. And write a short paragraph about it every day. For example, if you love movies, you could write something like, Today, I watched an action movie. The storyline was exciting, and I loved the characters. The more you practice writing, the more comfortable you'll become with forming sentences and using new vocabulary. Now, a quick word about vocabulary. When you come across a new word, don't just learn it, live it. Here's what I mean. Let's say you learn the word thrilled. Don't just memorize it. Use it. The next time something makes you happy, instead of saying, I'm happy, say, I'm thrilled. Maybe you had a great time at a party, so you can say, I was thrilled to be there. By using new words in different situations, they'll stick in your mind much better. Now, let's not forget about the fun part. Learning English doesn't have to be all about grammar and vocabulary. Make it fun. Play games with English. For example, have you ever tried tongue twisters? They're a great way to practice pronunciation while having a laugh. Try saying this. She sells seashells by the seashore. It's tricky, right? But the more you practice, the clearer your pronunciation will become. Here's a big tip. Immerse yourself in English. You don't have to live in an English-speaking country to do this. Surround yourself with English through music, podcasts, videos, and books. The more you hear, read, and engage with the language, the more natural it will become. Try to listen to English while doing everyday things. Whether you're cooking, cleaning, or walking, you're not trying to focus on understanding everything. You're just letting your brain soak in the language. Let's talk about expressing yourself confidently in English. One of the best ways to sound more natural and fluent is by learning phrasal verbs. These are combinations of a verb and a preposition or adverb that change the meaning of the verb. They're super common in everyday English and really important for sounding like a native speaker. Here's an example. Instead of saying, I will continue, you could say, I'll keep going. Or instead of, I cannot tolerate it, you could say, I can't put up with it. See how the meaning stays the same, but sounds more natural? Learning phrasal verbs can be tricky because their meanings aren't always obvious, but they're so useful in everyday conversation. Let's try using some in practice. Instead of saying, I started learning English, you could say, I picked up English a few years ago. Instead of I'll cancel the meeting, you can say, I'll call off the meeting. These little adjustments can make you sound more fluent and help your English flow better. Now, let's focus on thinking in English. This is a big one. A lot of learners get stuck because they translate every sentence in their head from their native language to English. That takes time, and it's why many people feel slow or hesitant when speaking English. To solve this, you need to practice thinking directly in English. How do you do that? Start small. For example, when you're getting dressed in the morning, narrate what you're doing in English. In your head, say something like, okay, I'm going to wear my blue shirt today, or I think these shoes will go well with my jeans. Don't worry about grammar or sentence structure. Just get comfortable expressing thoughts in English, even to yourself. You can also try this while cooking. Instead of thinking, I need to add sugar, try thinking, I'll add a spoonful of sugar to this recipe. These small shifts help you build the habit of thinking in English. Another great way to think in English is by labeling things around you. For instance, when you see your phone, think phone instead of translating it. When you're walking, label what you see. Tree, car, clouds, etc. It might feel silly at first, but it's a simple way to train your brain to stay in English mode. Let's not forget about conversation fillers. These are small words or sounds that native speakers use to fill pauses in conversation, and they're super important if you want to sound more natural. For example, in English, we often say things like, well, and I mean when we're thinking about what to say next. Let's try this in action. Imagine someone asks you a tough question, like, what do you think about climate change? Instead of pausing for too long or feeling stressed, you could say, well, it's a really important issue, you know? I mean, we all need to be more aware of how we affect the planet. By A, you give yourself a little time to think while keeping the conversation flowing naturally. Let's also dive into the importance of intonation in English. Intonation is the rise and fall of your voice when you speak, and it can completely change the meaning of what you're saying. In English, we use intonation to express emotion, make questions, or emphasize certain points. For example, if you say, you're going to the party with a flat tone, it's just a statement. But if you raise your voice at the end, you're going to the party, it becomes a question. Intonation is crucial because English speakers rely heavily on it to understand whether someone is being serious, sarcastic, surprised, or confused. Let's practice with some more examples. You did what? Rising intonation to show surprise. Oh, that's great. Falling intonation to show sarcasm. By playing around with intonation, you can start to express a wide range of emotions in English, making your speech more dynamic and engaging. Another powerful idea is role-playing. This is where you imagine different situations and practice how you would respond in English. It's a fantastic way to prepare for real-life conversations without any pressure. For example, imagine you're at a job interview. How would you introduce yourself? You could say something like, hi, my name is your name, and I'm really excited to be here today. I've always been passionate about your field, and I'm looking forward to bringing my skills to this company. Or, imagine you're ordering food at a restaurant. You might say, "Hi, could I get a large coffee and a sandwich, please? Oh, and can I have that to go?" Practicing these scenarios helps you feel more prepared for when they happen in real life. You can also role-play conversations with friends or family. Pretend you're giving directions, making small talk at a party, or even discussing your weekend plans. The more you practice these everyday situations, the more confident you'll become in speaking English. Let's talk a bit about motivation. Learning a language is a long journey, and sometimes it can feel frustrating when you don't see immediate progress. But here's the secret. Every small step you take brings you closer to fluency, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Think of it like learning to play an instrument. You don't master the guitar in one day. You start by learning simple chords, practicing them over and over until your fingers know what to do without thinking. English is the same. The more you practice, the more your brain will automatically understand how to form sentences, use vocabulary, and pronounce words correctly. One way to stay motivated is to track your progress. Keep a journal where you write down new words you've learned, phrases you practiced, or even sentences you struggled with. Over time, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. A final technique we haven't touched on yet is learning through music. Songs are a fantastic way to learn English because they're fun and they stick in your memory. When you listen to songs in English, try to pay attention to the lyrics. You can even sing along to practice pronunciation. For example, take a simple song like "Let It Be" by the Beatles. It's slow, the lyrics are clear, and it's full of useful phrases. You can listen to the song, write down the lyrics, and then sing along. Not only will this help you improve your listening skills, but it will also boost your speaking and pronunciation as you mimic the singer's voice. If you enjoy music, pick a few of your favorite English songs and use them as part of your learning routine. Not only will this make learning fun, but it will also help you remember phrases and vocabulary much more easily. So, here we are with a wealth of tips and hacks to continue your English learning journey. You've got so many tools at your disposal. From practicing phrasal verbs, thinking in English, using fillers and intonation, to role-playing and staying motivated. Keep practicing, keep pushing forward, and most importantly, keep having fun with it. Tomorrow, we can explore even more ways to master the language, but for now,